Hello, David.
How are you, Pablo?
I'm good. I've been waiting to do this for a very long time with you.
I have not been waiting as eagerly as you have. You had told me when you were first coming up with this show that you thought that this would be a topic that interested you, and I told you that I'd be happy to tell you everything about it, but that it was not my favorite topic in the world to talk about.
Okay, so you should know that David Samson, the former World Series champion president of the Miami Marlins, is a remarkably candid human being. I can think of just so many of his personal admissions that would embarrass pretty much any other sports executive were they to become public. But not the case for the host of Nothing Personal, who, perhaps not coincidentally, was also the very first person voted off on Survivor in 2014.
First person voted Survivor Cagayan. David, need to bring me your torch.
But this topic, this idea, is different for David. This episode will actually be kinda dangerously personal, especially by the time we get to the very end. You got COVID when?
I tested positive the day Biden was inaugurated, January of 2021, literally on Inauguration Day.
Man. And on Inauguration Day, it was an exit day.
It was.
For two very important aspects of your life. Your sense of smell and your sense of taste. And I have legitimately been unable to shake this thought from my head ever since I learned that you still don't have either.
What's the thought that you can't shake?
Holy that sounds awful. How did you notice that smell and taste were gone?
So every day, shockingly, I have a routine.
People are going to understand at the end of this episode how particular the details of your life have been orchestrated.
Well, they're orchestrated for efficiency purposes, and they're orchestrated to maximize the things that I like and to minimize the things that I don't like. And so, again, it's all under the umbrella of efficiency. So I hadn't been feeling well, but that never stopped me before. And back then, in January of 21, it was pre-vaccine. You didn't really want to get COVID. There were refrigerator trucks on 2nd Avenue full of dead people.
Hospitals and funeral homes were overwhelmed. Bodies were actually piling up. Refrigerated trucks were brought in to store the bodies.
Like literally true.
Literally true. That's what was happening.
As a resident of 1st Avenue, it's all true.
Which is unreal to think about.
And by the way, part of the subplot of the story is like COVID. There's some here that's different.
And I don't want to die of COVID. I'm healthy. I'm the one who had a pulse oximeter on 2 fingers, checking every 2 minutes, checking my fever every 2 minutes. Always fine with my lung capacity was always fine. Everything's fine. I just have fever, not feeling well, test positive. Of course, go to a doctor, confirm the test positive. And on the way to the doctor, my routine is shower, brush my teeth while the shower is getting warm, then deodorant, then a cologne. And I sprayed the cologne the way I do. I spray it in front of me 12 inches. I spray twice, and then I walk through it. That's how I put cologne on. And I said to myself, the cologne is stale. And so my first thought only was, this is not the normal cologne smell that I know I smell like. Obviously, there's something wrong with the cologne. And the bottle was more than half empty. And so I Googled, does cologne expire? Because it's the only possible thing I thought of. And then I went to the doctor and got everything, got the test, and was given the zinc and the this and the that, et cetera. And then I noticed that, in fact, I was not smelling anything because the doctor asked, have you lost your taste or smell? And then I realized at the doctor's office that I had, told him, and he said, no problem, totally normal, 3 to 5 days.
Oh, man.
So I didn't think anything of it. 3 to 5 days, what's the difference? And that was January of 21, and now we're coming on 3 years.
Jesus. your reaction at the point at which, I guess, 5 days expire, 6 days go by, 7 days go by, the sinking in of, oh, this is not coming back.
Oh, I didn't think that for months. So when it didn't come back in 5 days, I started to think about it. And I started to adjust my life even in those 5 days, thinking they were temporary adjustments.
How?
In terms of my expectations for food. So my biggest taste sensory issue is differentiating jelly beans between licorice jelly beans and cinnamon jelly beans. And that's the test I use to this day. To this day, I eat licorice and cinnamon jelly beans every day.
Oh my God.
And
you're a guy who for people who don't know the legend of how particular your habits are, you carry around a giant Ziploc bag of candy.
I do like candy.
And
yes.
So the licorice versus cinnamon?
Yes.
This is a thing that you have access to, presumably. You've had access to every day.
Every day. So I always have a inventory, and I can't tell the difference. And I don't want to jump too far ahead, but if you ask me for a top 5 list of the problem of not having taste or smell, it used to be number 1. It is no longer number 1 because now when I eat the jelly beans, I'm okay with not tasting the difference because I feel the jelly bean. But it used to be my number 1 until other things came up when you have no taste or smell that I realized are way more important than not knowing the difference in your jelly beans.
Okay, we're going to need that top 5 list, so hold tight to that. But your mind, it's very clear already, does not work the way I suspect that my mind would, or most people's minds would. Because my reaction, truly, as like 5 days go by, 6 days go by, 7 days go by, would be like, fuck me, is like how I would feel about all of this. And your reaction seems to be, it's time to adjust.
It's time to adjust.
Immediately, you're describing that.
So adjusting means this. It's when you're at a restaurant and you get angry because you think, wow, I didn't order correctly. Normally, I order this dish and it's fantastic. Something happened. The chef must not be here today because this food stinks. And what my brain did for the first year is it made me forget that I had no taste. And what it did is it made me think that I was getting bad food at restaurants.
For a year.
And then I would be eating it. I'd be upset. I would say to who I was eating with, do you like your dinner? And they would say yes. And I would say, my dinner sucks. And then I'd say, oh, I have no taste. So it took about a year, I would say, for me not to go through it. And sadly, I don't go through that exercise anymore. Now I go into meals knowing I'm not going to enjoy them. They're just meant as a gas station.
But just explain, though, when we say that you lost your sense of taste, you lost your sense of smell, how absolute is that description?
So it changes. The first year, it was pretty absolute. I can walk through New York City, silver lining playbook. I don't smell urine.
Yep.
I don't smell weed. I don't smell anything walking through New York City, which people complain about, the bad smells. For me, it's no problem. All the things that you would say are bad, I can just power through and not have an issue with.
Yeah, I've been reeking of weed and farting this entire time, and you've got nothing
I have
on
nothing.
me.
So I don't smell it now. The taste part, for the first couple weeks, I went on what I thought would be the most amazing diet. I only ate green food and kale.
This is how I suspected you would adjust.
Because I thought I'd become this perfectly in shape, amazingly healthy guy.
Yeah, you're optimizing. Like,
I'd stop with candy.
Pleasure from taste and smell no longer factors into my hedonistic calculus, and so I'm going to be better for it. I'm going to now become the healthiest man who's ever lived.
So it lasted 2 weeks because it made me too sad. Because when people would go out to pizza, I wanted to eat pizza, or I wanted to have dessert. I love ice cream. I love candy.
Yes.
And so what I did is I just learned that I wouldn't know the difference between a pizza with onion or a pizza with pepperoni, which I don't eat, but I wouldn't be able to tell the difference in my jelly beans. I wouldn't know the difference in cookies, whether it's chocolate chip or chocolate chip with nut or macadamia or even oatmeal raisin. But I loved the thought of having a cookie. And so I learned to love the thought.
And how social was that desire? Or how much of it was the I want to be around people who are doing normal things and feel normal, or how much of it was you tricking yourself into like feeling the rhythms of the familiar?
So it started with me wanting to trick myself because I thought that I could will it back. That if I look and I'm having pizza, I could taste pizza. And what I would do is I would do taste tests all the time. So I would close my eyes, I'd have two things, and I would try to identify what I was eating. So I would just have two cookies in front of me, or I'd have a slice of pizza with two different things on it. And what I learned is I was reacting to hot sauce, spicy, because I always felt that in my nose.
So you felt the physical sensation of what's that?
Spice.
The Scoville scale making you water or whatever, your eyes water or whatever else.
It's like hot peppers, exactly that. So you can feel the hot pepper, but you don't taste it, but you feel it.
Yeah.
So I learned to just add tons of hot sauce to everything. So I went on Amazon, bought these vats of hot sauce, and I just use it on all my food, which is insulting when there are chefs around, and I'm cognizant of it. So sometimes in nice restaurants or even at home, I have to say, by the way, I don't have any taste. I'm sorry. That's why I'm using hot sauce. Because people get offended.
Of course.
When you ask for hot sauce at a Michelin restaurant.
When you dump out onto your plate as much that'll make you feel literally anything.